Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. Double honors to the elder, shalom to the Akim, pushing the truth in the four corners, and truth and sincerity. Shalom to the Akwaf out there, listening and learning, been true doors of Zion. Shalom. So, we lots been going on lately, as far as Trump and, Iran, the 1948ers, a.k.a. the small hats, a.k.a. the fake Jews, the Jewish, the ones who are trying to be like the Jews, but are actually not, right? Pulling America into this war with Iran, right? And Iran coming back strong, right? Bombing Israel back, bombing different U.S. bases in different, Arab countries, right? So Iran not backing down, and we know of course Ezekiel 38 and 39, Russia is going to be a guard unto, the Persians. So we know at some point Russia is going to get fully involved because the Most High is going to put the hooks in his jaw to turn him, to protect and guard, the Persians, aka the Iranians, right? We see all these things going on. We see World War III on the horizon, right? The tensions are getting higher, right? More prophecy is being fulfilled each day. There was an attack on the White House the other day, right? It's really swept under the radar. They trying to sweep that under the radar, but it was an attack on the White House the other day, right? I believe it was multiple attacks in the last couple of weeks, right? So sedition among men, you had the military vet, he was a Navy vet, right, in the Congress, in the congressional hearing, I believe it was a congressional hearing or meeting, something like that, basically saying we don't want to fight for the small hats, the 1948ers, right, the Jewish, we don't want to fight for them. Right? And he got threw out and got his arm broke. Right? So we see the sedition is on the horizon, also the uprising against the government, which will lead to the prophecies of 2 Ezra 15 and 16. Right? Mad men sparing none, still spoiling those that worship the Lord. Right? Roughly paraphrasing. So in this time, it's important that if you're a new listener, somebody just coming to the truth, that you know the correct name of the Lord, right? It's not Yahuwah, it's not Yeshua, it's not Ahiah, it's not Jehovah, it's not Jesus, right? The correct names of the Father and the Son is Yahweh and Yahushua. Yahweh is the Father, who the world calls God, right? Yahushua is the Son, who the world calls Christ. Right? Let me get that in Acts. These are milk, but this milk is important, right? A lot of brothers, they get into the truth, and once you start learning the milk, you have a strong foundation. But then you go on and you start, learning meat and start digesting meat. You forget about the milk, but the milk is very important, right? This is Acts 4:12. It says, "Neither is there salvation in any, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved." So those are the only two names that we will be saved by, that we will receive salvation by calling upon, right? You can get Proverbs 18 and 10, because these are things you have to know. This is Proverbs 18 and 10. It says, "The name of the Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe." So there's safety in these names, right? And in these times to come, where we see all this prophecy being fulfilled, when we're seeing, Iran locking down the Strait of Hormuz, blocking off a lot of the resources, specifically the oil, to different countries, including America, and we're seeing gas prices going up. We're seeing food prices going up, right? We're seeing all these things happen. Rent prices going up, but everything going up except your paycheck, right? People getting fired left and right, mass layoffs, right? These things are happening, right? So what's that's going to lead to? It's going to lead to sedition among men, uprising against the government. It's going to lead to a man not having pity upon his own neighbor, right? Invading one another, right? People running up in each other's houses for lack of bread and for great tribulation because they don't have jobs, right? Because a lot of people are losing jobs. So the people that have nots are going to start running. They're going to start running up in people's houses, right? Ravaging, raping a woman, right? Stealing what you got, right? These times are on the horizon. So it's important to have that strong tower, to be in that strong tower, to know the name of the Lord and to call on the name of the Lord, the true name of the Lord, and that he hears you and he answers your prayer, right? So that's important. This is, I'm going to read this again. Proverbs 18:10, it says, the name of the Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe, right? So it's safety in the name of the Lord, the true name of the Lord. Now let me get Proverbs 30:4. It says, who have ascended into heaven and descended, who have gathered the wind in his fists, who have bound the waters in a garment, who have established all the ends of the earth. What is his name and what is his son's name, if thou can tell? So if you can tell, what is the name of the Lord and his son's name, right? The name of the Lord is Yahweh. His son's name is Yahweh Shai, right? Because a lot of people, they're trusting in their own, some brothers, they got combat training. They did jujitsu, they did karate, they did judo, they did all it MMA, they did all the boxing, right? They've gone to the weapon range. They know how to unload and load AR-15s and put a scope on your gun. They know how to do all this stuff, this carnal things, but they don't have the Lord. And in that time when you have to call on the Lord, when it ain't gonna be no choice but to call on the Lord and trust on the Lord, they're not gonna have the Lord, right? So a lot of them, the scriptures say the mighty man is going to cry bitterly, right? It says all hearts is going to be faint, right? Meaning weak. It's going to be a lot of men that are terrified in these times when these things start happening, right? You're seeing people talking about getting drafted because they talking about implementing the draft in December, right? You see people already talking about, nah, I ain't going to war, right? And it ain't even, it's a lot of them that ain't going just because they know these devils in power is wicked and they not trying to fight for these devils in power. But it's also men that are actually afraid, right, of going to war. I've seen videos of people over there that's already in the military that are afraid, right? Zephaniah, the first chapter says, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly, right? So this is going to be a time where men are afraid, but those who fear the Lord will be protected in these times, right? That's what they don't tell you. This is Psalms 44:4. It said, thou art my king, O power, command deliverance for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. So no weapon is going to be able to save you in these times. You're going to need the name of the Lord, to call on his name, right? Because what? Salaki, I had a phone call interruption. Salaki. But why? Because he's the one that brought these things upon us. Right? Like it says in the book of Baruch. Let me get the book of Baruch, chapter 4. One of my favorite chapter of the scriptures. Right? So this is Baruch chapter 4. And I'm going to start at 6. It says, "You were sold to the nations not for your destruction, but because ye moved God to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemy." So the Most High delivered us into the hands of these beasts, right? These Edomites. He delivered us in their hands. They did not conquer us just because they're better than us. And no. They conquered us because the Most High gave us over into their hands, because the scriptures let you know that when the Israelites, when the Jews were not in sin, the Most High was with us, and we destroyed many nations in battle. But when we turn to start sinning and being idolaters and murderers and, adulterers, right? All these things that are against the laws of the Lord, he turned his back to us, right? And gave us over into the nations that we wanted to serve and we wanted to be like, right? So the Lord gave us over into the hands of these Edomites because of our disobedience, right? But look, it says, "You were sold to the nations not for your destruction, but because you moved God to wrath, you were delivered unto your enemies." So he didn't give us to them to destroy us. We just moved the Lord to wrath, right? And those who don't understand, 1,000 years are one day where the Lord is, right? And when it comes to death, you die, your spirit goes to the spirit realm, to the heavens, and your body goes to the ground, and you come back every 3 or 4 generations. So you've been here multiple times. So if you die, the Most High kill you in this lifetime, you're coming back again, right? You're going to be here again. So you know our people that's so caught up in slavery, oh, why would he put us in slavery? Because it was a punishment, right? You kept coming back. That's why you should fear the Lord, because he has power to do that, right? He don't just have power over you in this life. He got power over you in the next life to come, right? So you should fear the Lord, right? Not Satan. Satan works for the Lord. He's a worker, right? He's the son of the Lord on the left-hand side and does the dirty work, does the evil, right? Nevertheless, he works for the Most High. It's the Most High you should fear. It said, "You were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved God to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemies. For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not God," being idolaters, right? Being idolaters. It says, "Ye have forgotten the everlasting God that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem that nursed you," right? "For when she saw the wrath of God coming upon you, she said," that she is our land, right? "She said, Hearken, O ye that dwell about Zion, God hath brought upon me great mourning, for I saw the captivity of my sons and my daughters, which the everlasting brought upon them. With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning." That's why our land is not giving its full increase, because we're not in the land, right? The land of Jerusalem, land of Israel, is not yielding the fruits that it's capable of yielding, because the true people are not in the land, right? Tilling it, right? That's our land. That's where our feet belong, right? That's where our spirits belong, right? But the Most High kicked us out of our land for our disobedience and our idolatry and our wickedness, right? Because the Most High he cannot stand wickedness, right? So he's not going to sit there and witness you doing wickedness in his land. He's going to kick your ass out, right? And that's what he did to our people. He kicked us the fuck out, right? It says, verse 11, "With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. Let no man rejoice over me, a widow, and forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children are left desolate, because they departed from the law of God. They knew not his statutes, nor walked in his ways. of it in the ways of his commandments, nor trod in the paths of discipline in his righteousness. Right? We left the laws of the Most High, and the Most High spewed us out of his land. Let them that dwell about Zion come and remember ye the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting have brought upon them. For he hath brought a nation upon them from far, a shameless nation, and of a strange language, who neither reverence old man nor pity child. These have carried away the dear beloved children of the widow, and left her that was alone desolate without daughters. Right? But what can I help you? This is the part I wanted. For he that brought these plagues upon you, which was the Most High, remember it said, you were sold to the nation not for your destruction, right? Because you moved God to wrath. It says, for he that brought these plagues upon you will deliver you from the hands of your enemies. So it's important that you know the name of the Lord, because he has a name. He has a sacred name that he gave his people, starting with his elect, right? Starting with the apostles and the elders and bishops, right? That came into this knowledge. Most High blessed with this knowledge way before we was on this earth, right? Again, in this lifetime, right? Right back in 1968, starting in 1968, right? It said, for he that brought these plagues upon you will deliver you from the hands of your enemies. Go ye your way, your children, O my children, go your way, for I am left desolate. Right? But that's the part I wanted right there. Right? Oh, let me get the 4:22. It says, for my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, and joy is come unto me from the Holy One. Salak. And joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come upon you from the everlasting our Savior. For I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but God will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever. Right? Verse 25. My children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from God, for thy enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. Right? So that is the reward, or part of the reward that the Lord is going to give us. Right? He's going to allow us first to see the fall of our enemies. Then he's going to allow us to trample upon the necks of our enemies. Right? So that's a reward. Verse 26, my delicate ones have gone rough ways, and were taken as a flock caught of the enemies. Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto God, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. For as it was in your mind to go astray from the Lord, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. So we got to seek the Lord 10 times more. Right? We got to pray. Right? We got to fast. We got to beg. Beseech the Most High to have mercy upon us. Right? It says, for verse 29, for he that brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy again with your salvation. Right? So that's the name of the Lord is very important. It's important to know the name of the Lord, Yahweh, and his son, Yahweh Shai. Right? To call on in that time. Because only the Most High can get us out of this situation. You see, if it was up to us, we wouldn't be doing nothing. We wouldn't make no moves. We wouldn't tear this empire down. But the Most High is going to do it for us. We just got to hold our peace. Right? Wait ye upon me, saith the Lord. Get that in Zephaniah. Zephaniah 3:8. It said, therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation and all my fierce anger, For all the earth shall be divided with the fire of my jealousy. Right? So the Most High is going to destroy these nations. Right? He's destroying these damn 1948ers out of Israel now. Right? Got them running down into their bunkers, hiding. But what? The Lord said he going to come down and dig you out of them bunkers. Right? So there ain't going to be no hiding when the Lord come. Right? When he beautifies elect. So back to Psalms 44:5. It says, through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them under that rise against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. So David understood, and David definitely, Salah, this is not David, this Korah, Salah. But David was the same way, right? David understood that it wasn't his own power, right? That he killed 10,000s. He understood it was the Lord's power, right? So this is Zechariah 13:8. It says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire. That's talking about the 1/3. Right? In these times, in Babylon, 1/3 of the Israelites are going to be saved, but 2/3 are going to die. Right? I'm going to read it again. This is Zechariah 13:8. It said, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third part shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh is my power. You see, it says, they shall call on my name, and I will hear them. Right? They will call on the name of the Lord, Yahweh. He exists. That's what it means. He exists. Yahweh Shai, he delivers. Right? That's what it means. Right? So you have to call on those names, right, in order to be delivered. Right? But yeah, that's all I wanted to say with this one. So with that, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Brakathan, Shalom, Agnew.